Hey there, everyone! Welcome back to English Podcast Session, your favorite place to learn English while diving into fascinating and relatable topics. I'm your host, John.
And I'm Amelia. Today, we're brewing up an episode that's all about coffee. Yes, the drink most of us swear by to survive early mornings and long work days. But the big question is, does coffee really boost productivity?
It's a question worth asking, Amelia. After all, coffee is one of the most consumed beverages in the world. Some people can't even imagine starting their day without it.
Exactly. But is it helping us work smarter, or are we just fooling ourselves into thinking it does? In today's episode, we'll explore both the pros and cons of caffeine. Plus, we'll throw in some fun coffee hacks and even a short story to wrap it all up.
Oh, and don't forget, halfway through, we'll take a quick break to boost your English vocabulary with 5 important words related to today's topic.
So grab your coffee or tea and let's jump in.
Segment 1, the pros of coffee. All right, Amelia, let's start with the positives. Why do you think so many people swear by coffee as a productivity booster?
Well, John, caffeine, the active ingredient in coffee, is a stimulant. It works by blocking a neurotransmitter called adenosine, which builds up in our brains and makes us feel sleepy. By stopping adenosine in its tracks, caffeine helps us feel more awake and alert.
That's a great point. Caffeine doesn't just wake us up, it also improves our cognitive functions. Research has shown that it can boost short-term memory and increase focus.
Absolutely. And let's not forget its impact on our mood. A cup of coffee can trigger the release of dopamine, the feel-good hormone, which can make us happier and more motivated to work.
That's true. There's also evidence suggesting that coffee can enhance physical performance. It's why so many athletes use it as a pre-workout drink. It gives them the energy to push harder.
In summary, better focus, improved memory, increased energy, and even a bit of a mood lift. Sounds like a recipe for productivity, doesn't it?
It sure does. But as the saying goes, too much of a good thing can be bad. Let's look at the other side of the coin. Segment 2, the cons of coffee.
Exactly. While coffee has its benefits, it's not all sunshine and lattes. Let's talk about what happens when we consume too much caffeine.
For starters, there's the classic caffeine jitters. Have you ever had that shaky, anxious feeling after drinking one too many cups of coffee? It's not pleasant, and it certainly doesn't help with focus.
No, it doesn't. Another big issue is dependency. Some people become so reliant on caffeine that they can't function without it. That can lead to a vicious cycle of needing more and more just to feel normal.
Then there's the infamous caffeine crash. After the initial energy boost wears off, you can end up feeling more tired than you were before.
And don't forget about sleep. Drinking coffee too late in the day can disrupt your sleep cycle, which makes you less productive the next day.
So, what's the takeaway here? Coffee can boost productivity, but it's important to drink it in moderation. Too much can actually hurt your performance.
Speaking of performance, how about we take a quick pause to boost our listeners' English skills? It's time for today's vocabulary section.
All right, everyone, let's look at 5 important words and phrases related to coffee and productivity. Amelia, why don't you start us off?
Sure thing. The first word is stimulant. A stimulant is a substance that increases activity in your body or brain. It makes you feel more awake and alert. Example, caffeine is a stimulant that helps people stay focused.
Great! Next up, adenosine. Adenosine is a chemical in the brain that makes you feel sleepy. Caffeine blocks this chemical, which is why it keeps you awake. Example, when caffeine blocks adenosine, you feel less tired.
The third word is dependency. Dependency means relying on something to function normally. Example, some people develop a dependency on coffee to start their day.
Good one. Number 4 is crash. A crash is the sudden drop in energy that happens when the effects of caffeine wear off. Example, I felt a crash in the afternoon because I drank too much coffee in the morning.
And finally, we have moderation. Moderation means not doing something too much or too little, keeping it balanced. Example, drinking coffee in moderation can help avoid side effects like jitters.
Those are some great words to know. Make sure to practice using them in your own sentences. Now, let's get back to our coffee talk.
Sting 1. I've been guilty of grabbing coffee the second I wake up. But it sounds like I should wait a little longer.
Exactly. Another hack is to drink smaller amounts throughout the day instead of one large cup. This helps you avoid the caffeine crash and keeps your energy steady.
Smart. Here's a hack for those looking for sustained energy. Try adding healthy fats like coconut oil or butter to your coffee. It's called bulletproof coffee, and it slows the absorption of caffeine, giving you a longer-lasting boost.
I've heard of that. And for those who are sensitive to caffeine, consider alternating between regular coffee and decaf throughout the day. You still get the ritual without overloading on caffeine.
Great ideas. And don't forget to stay hydrated. Pairing your coffee with a glass of water can help you avoid dehydration and headaches.
These small adjustments can make a big difference in how coffee affects your productivity. Try them out and see what works for you.
Segment 4, a short coffee story.
Alright, let's wrap up with a short story to tie everything together.
Meet Sarah, a graphic designer who was on a tight deadline. She had a big presentation to finish, so she drank 3 large cups of coffee in the morning to power through her work.
At first, it worked wonders. Sarah felt laser-focused and full of energy. She breezed through the first half of her project.
But by the afternoon, things took a turn. The caffeine started to wear off, and Sarah felt jittery and anxious. Her hands were shaky, and she struggled to concentrate.
By evening, she hit a major crash. Exhausted and frustrated, she couldn't finish her presentation on time.
The next day, Sarah tried a different approach. She drank 1 moderate cup of coffee in the morning and a smaller cup in the early afternoon. She also made sure to drink water and take short breaks to stretch.
This time, she finished her work on time and felt calm and focused throughout the day. The moral of the story? Coffee can be a powerful tool, but only when used wisely.
And that brings us to the end of today's episode of English Podcast Session.